Hello, good evening and welcome. Day 5, quarterfinals night here at the CIB Egyptian Open 2025. A diamond event here on the PSA Squash Tour. Our first diamond event of the year, the second major event of the season as well. And we get going this evening with Nuran Gohar up against Tina Gillis in the women's draw. We've also got some squash royalty in the house tonight. So I'm going to switch over to my MC mode and introduce to the SQUASHTV studio none other than 4-time world champion. And he's also a former world #1, 33 PSA titles to his name. Let's hear it for Amar Shabana. I had to go big on it.
Amazing.
How was I on the pronunciation?
First guy who got it right.
Okay, that's very generous of you, and we did practice it lots and lots. And welcome to the studio. I mean, so fun to have you in here. I know you guys are going to be messing around all night. And what a great event. But let's talk about you first of all. What are you up to these days?
Oh, it's amazing. Thanks, guys, for having me here. I'm getting goosebumps just watching the intro. It's an amazing setting with amazing athletes. So for me, it's amazing to be here. Just came from the office, like they say. And for me, this is my natural habitat. Feels natural being here. And thanks for having me.
And your wingman for this evening is none other than Joey Barrington. I know you guys go way back. I can't wait to hear some of the stories from when you were on tour together. So Joey, just remind us how much of a legend this man is.
I had the blessing of being able to play him, being obviously at the tougher end of the results with him, but being on court, playing him in events, which was something pretty special. I said certain players that you got to play, that you had a real experience on the court, an educational experience, as well as coming off and probably losing most of the time, but feeling pretty good about what just happened, and then commentating on him. In those years, managing to see the last phase of his career and commentate and go bonkers with all the kind of maverick squash and the mercurial squash that he produced, and particularly towards the end of your career. I was thinking about the TOC. You're 34 years old, 6 months, 34 and 6 months when you won that one.
Yeah, I think I suffered a bit in my early 30s. I didn't know how to handle my training and how to handle the body and find the balance between resting and training. I was lucky that I caught sports science as it was becoming a thing in sports.
Because you were very scientific.
We were talking on the way up here on how we used to run in the sand dunes and the pyramids, and there was no sports science to that. It was all about waking up early, and I got lucky at the end with the sports science. Switched my training around and managed to have a few more extra years.
Certainly did.
Cast your eye here towards the screen, because we're going to have a little flick through something that we want to show you here. What is happening? This is Jules, our sound man. Talking about sports science, analyse that for us.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day,
he's our chief sound engineer.
There's a fitness test, isn't there, that's now being brought in, which you'll have to adhere to as well.
Straight
Michael.
Through Victor Cruz and Siva Sangari Subramanian. Didn't seem to matter.
He's a powerful athlete.
Shorter distance to the ball is straight.
Exactly, it is straight through. That line was he was taking the right line there, Michael, and he was on. I mean, he's a powerful.
Was it a clear line to the ball?
He was looking fantastic there. He looked like he come straight out one of the pyramids, to be fair.
Good court sprints. Now we'll get back into some proper history. Let's have a look here now. Do look at these highlights. We'll start off with your first World Championship, I think 2007 against Greg Gaultier. Just tell us some of your memories of playing in this final and winning that World Championship.
Actually, this was in 2007, my third World Open. I caught Gregory Gaultier in the peak of his career. I don't think I was ever favored to win any of the finals. Gregory was definitely the better athlete. This match here with Rami was another match where I was the underdog on paper. Managed to scrape through against Rami, who until now I consider one of the best ever to ever hold the racket. So I managed to scrape that one. Playing against Nick Matthew at the Queen's Club, iconic venue, iconic tournament. Another player who I was never favored. I'm guessing all the videos you have of me, I was never favourite.
But you say that every time you were never favourite, but you had dominated the world #1 spot and you're 4-time world champion, so I think you were the favourite.
One more to show you as well from the Tournament of Champions, which I think Joey was talking about earlier on.
Yeah, I think Tournament of Champions is one of my favourite tournaments on tour. I think this was my last year on tour. I had a bit of a second win in that tournament, and I remember it was like yesterday.
So of the 4 World Championships, which you won in 2003, 2005, 2007 and 2009, which is the most memorable? Or most meaningful?
I take most meaningful, and for me, I take the greatest pride, is until now, I do not think that there was a lower ranked player ever to win a World Open. I was ranked outside the top 10 had never reached a semi-final in a major tournament. I think I was ranked 11 in the world then, played David Palmer in the third round. He was defending champion, played Anthony Ricketts, another top 4 player, played Darwish in the semi-final. I think he was ranked 6. So throughout the event, I was like, it was the first time. So for me to come through and have that title, I know there was a match in the first round where an Egyptian, where he claimed the match, and he was the lowest ranked player ever to win a top 10 player. I think that record I still hold, being the worst player ever to win a World Open.
Yeah, understatement of the year. Joey, which of those World Championships stand out for you that he won?
I mean, the Bermuda one was pretty amazing because there was nearly kind of 5,000 people watching there. It was the big marquee they'd used for the Rod Stewart concert previously. It was on the cliff top in Bermuda, and it was incredibly hot. And Greg was gunning for it, you know, and that was probably the most impressive one for me. But like I said, I got to see so many of his great finals, and I mean, the golden era of squash, really. You think of the names, you just seen the names of who he was playing in those finals, like Ramy Ashour and Thierry Lincou, I mean, Gregory Gaultier. I mean, the list goes on, and he was playing in the thick of that golden period where you basically had a top 10 of ex-world number ones, ex-world champions, British Open champions. They were just all lined up. And that was beyond impressive. So it was far from a weak era. It was probably one of the strongest eras ever.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, for sure. Like whenever I watch the matches, I find myself really emotionally involved and emotionally invested. What I try to do is I watch the girls' matches because I'm a bit more neutral. Yeah. I don't have any favorites, but the way the girls picked up the sport physically and tactically the last 20 years, it's night and day from where they were and where they are now. And it's one of the purest forms of squash I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're the real flag bearers, aren't they, at the moment? When we were complimenting them yesterday on the show as well. What is it that they're doing right?
Well, everything. I mean, it's that kind of the intensity's there. But it's just the honourable way they play. You know, they get at each other. They get up. If there's falls, if they get hit, if there's issues with the referees, they just get on with it. But they play at the full intensity, and they complement each other. And as athletes, as Shabs was saying, with the lower ting going down, they're just getting better and better with it. And there's a real kind of international spread. Yes, you've got a lot of Egyptians, but there's Japan with Satomi Watanabe, Subramanian from Malaysia, the Americans. There's lots of different countries involved at the top end. So I mean, it's wonderful to see. You must have been pretty surprised to see the level, how it's increased.
Oh my God! Like from west to east, you have Belgium in Europe, you have United States, you have India, you have Malaysia. It's just an amazing crop of women's squash, and I think the sport is on another very, very strong level. And the way it's been developing, it won't be the same if you don't have that intensity and, like Joey said, the amount of high, pure level of squash that we have. It's just great that you can come to a squash venue and watch men and women play, and it gives you the same excitement.
I guess my follow-up question to that then is the state of the men's game. Where do you think that's at, and where do you think the challenges lie?
I'm a bit on the fence with it. Like Jonah said, we have a mix of players back in the early 2000s. You had the flair, you had the power, you had the speed. You still have that now. But certain characters are really questionable with how much rules they bend, and I think the faster the sport and the people who are responsible for the tour pounce on it, because anybody inside the top 50 is an amazing athlete.
Yeah.
They all are amazing squash athletes, and all of them can put the ball away with giving maximum space, with giving the opponent lets and no lets. We can basically referee each other, and the result will stay the same. So there's no need for that extra salt and pepper, like they say.
What are the solutions then? Salt and pepper is a very good analogy. Solutions, that's what everyone's after. So what are some of the changes that you might bring in that would resolve this issue?
Punishment and reward. That's the way human beings are. You punish those who are in the fault. You reward those who are doing well. And over time, enough punishment, at some point you're going to have to stop because you won't be here.
Is that the right way forward?
Well, I mean, it's pretty black and white, and I mean, I think it needs to be now. There's been quite a kind of lot of trials of different things, and I think you just got to get down to it. We're on acceleration towards the Olympics, as we keep saying, and the sport on the whole, and we want it to be the best show possible, and it's going to have to probably
and
be.
And not just once. We don't want it just there in 2020.
No. It has to be. Otherwise that's even more kind of a frustration to have one Olympics and then nothing else. But I think it has to be quite brutal. I kind of agree with Shabs, really.
And also you need the different characters. We're not asking players to change the character.
Yeah.
You need your John McEnroe, you need your Roger Federer, those type of characters. You need your Ali Farag, you need your Mustafa Hassan, you need your Diego Elias. But you need their squash forms. You wanna strip everything else, leave the squash, leave the athleticism, and just let the people enjoy themselves.
Has the game changed since you were playing it then? What do you think some of those changes that have already come in look like and have done to the game?
I would be very worried if it hasn't improved, because the way it goes, like Joey said, I was very fortunate to come up. I started playing professional squash tournaments when I was 15. So I've seen the generation when I was 15. I saw the generation when I was 23. I saw a generation when I was 29. I saw a generation when I'm 35. And each generation learns from the generation before it. So they have to be faster, they have to be smarter, they have to be stronger. I would be very worried if they weren't better. So in a way, same concept, but each generation learns the lessons learned from the past.
Joey, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's again the philosophy there. I mean, it's always that kind of trying to compare generations, and I do feel certain generations stand out. You know, in squash, when you think about the late 80s, early 90s with the Australians and the Pakistanis, and then the golden generation, which was, you know, through the early mid 2000s all the way through to the kind of mid-teens, really. I mean, that still stands out for me. He's very humble. I think, you know, you put someone like him on a court with anyone of any generation, he's going to cause serious problems, but not problems as in stop-start squash. It would be free-flowing squash, but it would be of the highest order. And you know, those players that achieve in their generations, you can put them in any generation, and they would achieve what they need to achieve, because that's the person that you're dealing with.
Let's talk a little bit about legacy next. Then you've paved the way for many Egyptians who have followed you in your path and in your shoes. Let's take a look at some of these big names and just reflect maybe for us on how proud you must feel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very proud. Legacy is an important word for me. It's what you leave behind. No use playing squash for 21 years and everybody can pick up a story where you cheated here or badmouth there or retired a match here. I was always very conscious that I'm trying to put the best show possible that I can, leave something for when future squash players or fans or even family watch reruns, leave something positive. So I was always very conscious of doing my best. I'm still human, but doing my best to leave something positive behind.
Every player that we've seen there in that VT has mentioned him in sort of speeches in VTs and the impact that he had on their careers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, just talking about the technical side of things. I mean, when you think about like a perfect technique, I mean, for a lefty, he was. I mean, because my dad is left-handed, still is left-handed. He's still alive and going strong, thank goodness. But the technique that he had was the best technique, you know, out there for me. And like I said, it was a pleasure to be able to actually play. When I look back and I think, you know, could I have achieved a bit more here and there? But the people that I got to play with, you know, I got on court with him, Ramia Shaw, all these different people, and it was even Lee Beachell sometimes, and it was, you know, it was a real pleasure, and I'll never forget that. But
a story that I want to always say to Jonah and Jonah Senior, that when I was a kid, I was always a very squash geek. I was hardcore into how things are done, and I remember Jonah. I was talking to him, and Jonah for us is a legend. And just any time I could see him around, I would always go up to him and ask him a question. I remember telling him, I remember that my swing, whenever I watched it, looked very bad. Like I could never watch a whole game of myself, not because of how I played, but of how my swing looked. And I remember talking to Jonah about it, and he said, everybody has the same hitting zone swing. Just before you hit the ball, and just after you hit the ball, everybody's the same if there's nothing wrong with their swing. So just forget the gimmicks. Forget what happens up in your right ear and left ear after the swing is done, and just focus on the hitting zone. And that's what I really focused on. It's the hitting zone that's really important, and that's what Joey is talking about. And the timing of the hitting zone is what it counts.
And who else impacted your squash growing up? Who were your mentors? Who did you look up to?
To be honest with you, the way I was brought up, my father used to drive me around 6 days a week to 6 different coaches, and that's what I kept. I hated it as a youngster because every day I'll be talking to a new coach.
Yeah.
But what I really understood and grasped when I was growing up as a teenager and as a budding professional is if you ask honestly any professional on tour, they will answer honestly. So instead of having one advisor, I used the whole tour. I used to sit down with Del Harris, Simon Park, Peter Marshall, and in breakfast 8 in the morning, and asked them, guys, why can't you beat Jancher Khan?
Yeah.
I need to know, so when I'm in that similar situation. And they would have a debate about it, and for me, just watching the best of the game talk about why can't they beat a certain player and how they think they can do it, well, for me, was a live lesson. So I always took advantage of that.
Interesting answers there, probably from those.
Yeah, I mean, did you ever think at one point that you were going to achieve what you achieved when you said you obviously came out of, well, I say nowhere to win that Pakistan World Championship in Islamabad? Did you ever think that you were going to dominate world number one as you did and win those four World Championships? I mean,
honestly, never had it that I'd do it for this long.
Yeah.
This good.
Yeah.
I was always sure and confident of my abilities.
Yeah.
I knew I had the game. I knew I understood the game. But what I wasn't sure of, because it's not always in your hands, how long you can do it. And for me, using the motto of minimum effort, maximum results, taking the straight line, really helped me to really prolong the tournament. I was never one of those guys. I heard the story about Jeff Hunt where he played Jahangir Khan and he passed blood to win a match in the final. I never got to that point. I lose the battle. I lost lots of battles.
Just not trying hard enough then.
Exactly. Minimum effort, maximum results.
Oh, you make it sound so easy. I mean, it's you make it sound so easy, but yeah, it worked for you.
Break it down. Break the sport down to the simplest form and see where it takes you.
It's good advice. Another chap that's followed in your shoes is none other than Ali Farag. We miss him from the sport. The sport misses him greatly. And he was another one of those with, well, chasing your World Championship record. And he's equalled it as, this is Egyptian men, because there are obviously other world champions that have won more than 4 titles. But it's pretty outstanding. What stands out from you for you from those graphics on screen that we're looking at?
Apart from me being with him in the same screen?
Yeah, yeah, sharing the screen. I mean, what do you make of him as a world champion?
Oh my
for
God,
example?
I remember playing with Ali as a young teenager, coming to my squash club when I was 13, 14. Not many players made me feel uncomfortable. You can beat me on the squash court, but I'll still feel comfortable. Ali is one of those juniors where, as a 14-year-old, and I'm a full-on professional squash player, I did not feel comfortable. He's the only player, I think, in any modern game I've seen, where if you stick the ball tight next to the wall, you're still in trouble. Yeah. What he can do with the ball stuck in the wall, even in the front corner, was scary. And seeing him do it made me feel very uncomfortable. Luckily, I never played him in an official squash match.
I just quickly looking at that stat there. You only dropped 1 game in all those 4 finals. That was to Thierry. Everything else was 3-love, 3-love, 3-love.
Yeah, I felt more comfortable as the rounds go on. You have a better chance of catching me in the first round, where all the factors are still up in the air. Once you get to the final, you've played enough matches on the squash court, you've felt the crowd, you know what you're doing well and I haven't well. I think for me, playing the World Open finals were always the easiest matches. Those 4 matches were probably top 10 easiest matches I've ever played. I don't know why, but I just feel comfortable.
Yeah, amazing.
Joey, you're also saying they might have been a tougher caliber opponent as well. I know when we were rehearsing, you looked at those names, and I mean, we saw Mohammed El Shabagi on the other side.
Mohammed, you can't write. Mohammed again is a player that would have been in every single generation. I mean, he pretty much was, because Mohammed's nearly 52 now. But yeah. I mean, Mohammed is one of the greats of the game. So for Ali to have done what he did there,
twice.
And I mean, the names are big, but it's just looking at that with Thierry Linku and Gregory Gaultier and Ramya Shaw. I mean, it's an absolute scandal. David Palmer.
Oh my God, I didn't play the same player twice. That's how it was. I remember a first round in 2005 in Hong Kong. I played Simon Park in the first round.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
How bad is that? Beat him in 5, managed to scrape it out of nowhere, 2-1 down, nearly out the tournament, thinking if I'm going to be able to catch my flight that same day.
It is, but I mean, you had that kind of bit of magic about you. I don't know. I mean, you still have shabs as well.
I'm trying to. Outside the squash court, maybe.
Not on the golf course.
And not the golf course, no.
We're gonna stick our necks out here. Who's your favourite Egyptian player? Who do you like watching? You can maybe have one from the men's game, one from the women's game. Who do you enjoy watching these days when you flick the telly on or watch?
Tough question. I like Yusuf Ibrahim, Yusuf Muhammad. I like Ali Abul Ainin. I think those 3. The way they carry themselves on court, they're fresh, they're playing without fear, they're not taking advantage of situations where they could necessarily take those advantage. They're very fair. Yusuf Ibrahim, if he can only managed to calm himself down and treat the game like a game of chess instead of it as a gladiator. I think he can save a lot of energy. The other two are calm and collective. They're my favorite three. And the women's game, I mean, take your pick. I mean, Noura Sherbini, Nuran Gohar, Hania, they're all amazing. Like I said, I'd rather watch the women's game at this point. Today, I'll be watching the women's squash.
Okay, well, plenty of women's squash coming away. Nuran Gohar against Tina Khilis to get us started here. Just on Hania El Hammamy, yeah, she went life and death with Hani the other night, and I know you watched that match. What did you make of that performance? 2-love down, came back to win it 3-2, which really showed her mettle.
I mean, Salma was very positive in the beginning, very strong. There's a statistics PSA Squash TV put a couple of years ago where it says when the player who's 2-love up has a lower percentage of winning in the fifth game. What happens is after you're 2-love up, you kind of tend to relax, but so does your opponent who's 2-love down. They also relax. So when it gets back to 2-all in the games, the person who was leading now all of a sudden is nervous, and the person who's coming back from behind isn't. So I think that's what happened here. I think Hania saw an opening and went for it, but still, Salma's been there for the last few years. She's doing amazing things. Hania, of course, power, flair, speed. So I think it's going to be fantastic watching them this season.
Jerry, thoughts on that match?
Yeah, I mean, it's done the world of good for El Hammamy. You know, coming in after being out for such a long period of time, she got some good time on the glass court. She had that adrenaline where she felt, goodness me, I could be going out. Turned it round, relaxed off. She started finding her shots and working her way around. So, and physically she was fine. So it's the perfect kind of wake-up call for her in this event, and it will do her good tonight. She's going to need it tonight. I
don't want to ruin the surprise, but I know you and Lisa both interviewed Hania El Hammamy earlier in the day. But if you want to see that, then you have to head over to Squash TV, Squash.tv. Easy for me to say. Put the old teepees in. And we'll see those interviews later, but I'm mega excited to hear what she had to say. What do you make of Hania El Hammamy then and her pathway? She's got some tough people to follow in the shape of Nuran Gohar and Nour El Sherbini. They're tough players to catch.
Yeah, for sure they're tough, but you know what? The women now, they're all warriors. I don't think she's going to lose sleep. I think she's up for it. She's excited. She's got nothing to lose. She's still building her blocks. Yeah. And yeah, it's going to be exciting watching her opponents trying to break her down because she has it all.
Let's have a quick look at the women's top 10 for you as it stands. Only the second major event of the season, of course, the diamond event here at the Egyptian Open in front of the pyramids. It looks like this. Gohar, Sherbini, El Hammamy up in that top half of the table. No Olivia Weaver this week. She's recovering from an abductor injury. Amina Orfi as well was out on court warming up earlier. Then the likes of Watanabe, Khilis, Subramaniam, Sobi and Kennedy all inside the women's top 10. So what do you make of that? I mean, there's some chasing packs and there's even a further chasing pack. It's a bit like the Tour de France.
I mean, it's unbelievable. The top three have a good head start. But the rest of the players, you look at them, they're all different characters. If the top three are not on their game, they could have a percentage where they could lose it. What the other girls are doing, they're really focusing on their previous experiences. It only takes a couple of times to really know what's happening. I mean, if you just look at it, it's wide open from 4 to 10. And it takes one good day for them to take a stepping stone to 3 and then move forward to 2 and then back to 1.
Simple as that, just like Jerry said earlier in the week. And gains, Jerry, where do players make gains? Because they have to make it into the top 8 to get to the Tour finals at the end of the season. I know we're right at the beginning, but they'll already have that in mind.
No, they will. I mean, it's, you know, again, it's the most competitive top 8 it's been, and then there's players on the cusp that are looking to come back in. So it's condensing. You know, the top of the women's game was...
What's it doing? Just show us with your hands again.
Condensing.
Yeah.
You like that?
I like it.
But the top of the women's game, you had the big three dominating such a period of time, and there was a massive head start for them. The gap was gradually getting closed by Amanda Sobi before she got injured, but now they're pushing up heavily onto a Nour El Sherbini is 29 and her body is battered. You know, she's battling away. She is the current world champion, but she's got a hard season ahead of her and a hard tournament here. And I think El Hammamy, she'll get a few things together like she can do. She's won majors. She's proved that, and it's just the consistency factor, because on a day she can beat anyone. She's beaten Sherbini, she's beaten Gohar, she's beaten them back-to-back as well. So she's the only player to be able to have done that outside of the top 2. And I billed her as a possible world number 1 a good few years ago, and I think she's got an opportunity to still be a world number 1.
Okay, let's talk about other role models. and Mustafa Asal, he's got that responsibility. You've been a former world #1 yourself, and recognise the responsibility that you have to be a flag bearer and a leader and a mentor, and that's on Asal's shoulders at the moment. But he's a player that comes under a lot of scrutiny. So what do you make of him as a player?
You can give him the excuse. He's still very young. He smashed into the squash scene. It's not the usual stepping stone of making top 40, making main draws. No, he really exploded into the scene at such a young age. But the sooner he understands that all the kids aged 4 to 10 hold him as a god, he has to know that every move he does, every celebration he does, every video review will be copycat. All the young kids are going to be doing the same. As previous generations, I looked up to Chris Detmar and Jahangir and Jancha. I used to imitate the way they walk, the way they move, even the voice. So Mustafa has to understand that they will imitate him from top to bottom, and he has to take care of that, because once he gets stuck in it, the more he gets stuck in it, the tougher it will be to break free.
It's a big responsibility, Joey.
Yeah, it's massive. I mean, Ali Farag carried it very, very well, you know, and I mean, Mohammed was battling there and hit that world #1 spot for a long, long period of time. And, you know, you talk about Mohammed, like when he would lose, and he lost a lot of those great battles with all these players, he was always very kind of honourable in the defeat at that moment, you know. And, you know, a lot of respect for him for that, because he came out the back end of a lot of 3-2s, particularly early on, and he was always very kind of respectful. And you've seen him in his latter years, the way, you know, he gets stuck in. And yes, he's been up to all sorts on court in the past, Mohammed. He's as streetwise as they come. But when it comes down to the actual end of it, he's always been. There's only been a couple of blips in his career where he's had a bit of a head off. He's always been very respectful. So that was a sign for him. Ali always kept his counsel as well. And you know, they're all looking. It's not just the juniors in Egypt. They're all around the world looking, and with Squash TV going out to everywhere, you know, they're on show more than ever, and you never know who's going to be watching. So, you know, to be an inspiration for them, we need characters. You know, we've got to have those characters in, otherwise it's going to be a real tough sell. But it's getting the balance between, you know, what's happening on the actual squash side for me. You know, I don't care if he goes off and celebrates and, you know, pulls his pants down. I mean, I don't care about that. What I care about is if he actually just produces the squash that he should be producing on the court.
I mean, we all did it. I remember that TOC tournament. I ran up the glass after beating Nick Matthew, literally. So we all do it. You're impulsive. You've had 2 hours of adrenaline rush through your body, and you need that release. But I'm willing to bet anybody for any amount, if Mustafa does nothing of the antics he's doing, he's still going to have the same results. It will not give him an extra title. It will not take away an extra title. We just want him to be responsible and acknowledge the fact that he's already world #1. You're already there. You've done the hard part. Do the easy stuff now. Because as a fellow Egyptian squash player, I'm telling you, you will not see any difference in your scores. And that's how he trains. He doesn't act this way in practice. And I'm telling you, he kills everybody in practice. So just kill everybody in tournaments.
That's good advice. How does he clean himself up, Mustafa Asal? We'll see him later tonight, of course.
I mean, it's pretty simple. It's just playing those rallies. I mean, he certain players where he has, you know, I remember a match he lost against Diego Elias in Qatar last season, and it was epic. He lost 3-love, but it was brilliant squash, and it was just.
Would you rather he lost like that then?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You know, and he very narrowly lost. I mean, what Shab's saying, he's there. He's an incredible squash player, and it's just showing what he can do. I don't know if he's this breaking up of playing. It doesn't need to be that. I've been saying that for years.
Okay, Shabs, thanks very much for joining us. You're going to stick around all night and help us analyse some of the matches coming your way. Joey, I know you'll be heading off to the commentary box for this first one with Sourav. It's Nuran Gohar versus Tina Gillis. We're heading over to Squash TV now. If you've been watching this free broadcast on our YouTube channel, thanks very much for tuning in, and we'll see you over at Squash TV.